Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our bi-weekly Dharma Talk and guided meditation live stream here at the Blue Lotus Meditation and Mindfulness Center. We are trying something new this evening. So we are certainly, as you're able to experience, as we are broadcasting from YouTube and our Facebook group as well as on LinkedIn, but also giving Instagram Live a try as well. See how well this works. Give it a try. Sometimes it's important to try new non-harmful actions, and we do this so that we can help spread the Dharma and mindfulness towards whoever is interested and whoever has that desire to develop their nurturing or nurture their well-being and so forth. So again, welcome and thank you for joining us this evening. It's now 6 p.m. It's April 29th, and we are at the Blue Lotus Meditation and Mindfulness Center here in central Minnesota. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. It's lovely to see everybody here, and whether it's live or perhaps you're just watching later on sometime in the future, it's never too late to work to develop your well-being. And mindfulness is a wonderful practice to do that. Some brief announcements just before we begin. Don't forget our weekly sanghas. These are always free events. Our weekly sanghas are always free. We have our teen sangha, our healing sangha, veteran sangha, new beginning sangha, rainbow sangha, and a welcoming sangha. They are absolutely free to you to participate in. Just simply go to our website and register. And we'd love to see you. You can make new friends and socialize with other mindfulness and Buddhist practitioners from all around the world, if you choose. Our summer calendar is also open beginning in May. Right, we have our mindful walking, silent retreat, and our wonderful meditation retreat as well. So check out our calendar, and if there's something that you're in the area for and you want to sit with us, you're absolutely welcome to do so. And also on Monday mornings, we have our live in-person Sangha meditation. So just for an hour, so from 9 to 9:15, you can come sit with us and practice mindfulness, short little Dharma talks. And again, you can meet other likewise or like-minded practitioners as yourself. And so let's begin with the 3 jewels before we really delve into the guided meditation and the tonight's Dharma talks. We can begin with the 3 jewels towards the Buddha. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Nice. So we always pay homage towards the Buddha, his teachings, the Dharma, and to you, the Sangha. Remember, the spiritual life, wholesome quality of the practice is you, the Sangha. And even though we may be separated by some miles, we're all connected. So it's important that we recognize that as well. So tonight's topic is removing the conditions of our lives. Very often we have conditions, whether it's societal or individual or self-constructed, that perhaps limit us from achieving the liberation, nurturing our well-being, and even just living, in a boxed or those conditioned lives without exploring much more than who we are on the inside. So to help take us to understanding those conditions, we'll sit for our guided meditation, right? Removing our conditions. And so let's begin by taking a moment to settle our bodies into a comfortable position, whatever works best for you. You may close your eyes or keep them slightly open with a soft focus, looking downward a few feet in front of you, if you choose. Breathe in. Pause. And breathe out. And then you're allowed and invited to allow yourself and have smile to rest on your face as well. Allow your spine to lift and your shoulders to soften. And soften your belly as you continue to settle in. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. And let's meditate on removing the conditions of your life. We may sometimes feel trapped with who we are, where we are, what we look like, what we have, and what we don't have. What we've done, or perhaps not done. And these are conditions we have in one way or another allowed ourselves to define who we are. Yes, you may have a short or a tall stature. Yes, you may have certain other physical characteristics. Yes, you may reside in a certain physical location. But are these conditions you? Go ahead and take the next few moments to reflect. simply on these conditions to see if these are what truly defines your being. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out. Now, consider all of the wide range of thoughts and emotions you have ever experienced. The good thoughts and the emotions, the hurtful thoughts and the emotions, the kind thoughts and their emotions, the derogatory thoughts and their emotions, and the loving thoughts and their emotions. These thoughts and emotions are transient and do not define us. When we allow temporary and transient conditions to seem to be permanent structures, we allow ourselves to become defined or confined by them. Letting go of all transient conditions allows you to experience true liberation for a more nurturing and joyful existence. Go ahead and begin to open your eyes slowly and gently, and reorientating yourselves to your surroundings before you perhaps stand up and move around. Good. Very nice. So those conditions, they're transient, right? They're imaginary to some degree. Of course, we have our certain limitations of our bodies. Right? We may not be able to pick up a heavy car, right? Physical attributes, right? Perhaps we even have a disability where, we're not even able to move very far. Perhaps we're even bedridden. But that's not what we're considering. Those aren't the conditions. Remember, we're talking about the conditions for liberation, our well-being, and living in a societal or self-constructed box. Limit how far we can expand our mind. They limit how far that we can experience true liberation and well-being. And if you recall from last week's talk, right, they're illusory in existence, right? Just by their nature of existence, they're illusionary, right? They're temporary. So those conditions that we consider, they're temporary. Good example. Certainly in Buddhism, reincarnation, past lives, our present life, our current life, and our next life, right? Our last life, our previous life. You could have been the opposite gender you are now. May not even been born in the same country. Perhaps you weren't even a human. It could have been a dog or a cat or a bat or a bird, anything. It's the consciousness that moves towards liberation, not the physical body. And that's what we're referring to as impermanent, those conditions. And so when we think of those conditions in our lives as permanent, as defining us, those are the limitations that we impose on ourselves. They are impermanent. And I would like for you to consider just some of the societal conditions that are placed upon all of us. Doesn't matter. Male, female, transgender, doesn't matter. Societal conditions can really inhibit our liberation because it's what we've been taught. And they dominate our lives. Think about what you can or cannot do in your society. Anything. What you can or cannot do. Consider your gender for those, what you can and cannot do. Does that play a role based on society? What about your race or ethnicity? How does that play a role in the way society confronts or interacts with you? And then how does that interact with yourself and how you interact with others? Location. Think about your location. Are you in the cities or are you in a rural area? Do city folk, do they behave differently, perhaps, than rural or country folks? It's a possibility, right? How we view them. What about your occupation? Think about how the occupation that you have, how does that influence how society treats you? Are you a judge, a doctor, a laborer? Even though in many countries there aren't specific castes or whatnot, still there's those judgmental thoughts. Can't interact with that person. They are not of the same education level as we are, perhaps. Incarceration status. Perhaps you serve time in a prison or a jail, and then you come out. Perhaps nobody knows other than you, but somebody may. Your religion. Religion can be a huge societal condition. Think how that plays on how others may act towards you. Very judgmentally, right? Can be. But then on the other side, what about those self-constructed conditions that we allow ourselves to have, to manifest? And maybe we live by them. And just thinking about the self in general, right? Think about your whole self. Think about that guided meditation where we talked about your physical stature, right? Are you tall or short? Blonde hair, blue eyes, bald or brown eyes? Think about that, how you identify with yourself. These are all self-constructed conditions. And we can explore them even further. Our gender, right? We may be limiting ourselves because we think a certain gender may not, accomplish a certain goal. That could be a limiting factor, a limiting condition. And that may not even be something that you impose upon yourself. Maybe your society does. So does that allow you to explore more of who you are, thinking that perhaps I can't do this particular task or accomplish this goal because of my gender or race or ethnicity? Perhaps you feel more superior towards another race or ethnicity. Perhaps another group feels that they are superior to you. It's very hurtful. Our location, again, perhaps north or south, west or east, rural or urban. City folks don't know how to do this. Country folks don't know how to do that. Whatever it is, right? Sometimes we allow ourselves to think that we are superior because of where we live. Perhaps we also think ourselves inferior because of where we live. Those are conditions that, again, you have boxed yourself in. It's not liberating. Our occupation, again. Perhaps somebody feels superior because they are, or you feel superior because maybe you have an education. Maybe you are an attorney or a doctor or a school teacher. And maybe somebody looks down upon the street vendor. Or maybe the street vendor looks down upon himself. It's a limiting condition that we may perpetuate for ourselves. Our incarceration status as well, right? Maybe you feel that because you were incarcerated, you weren't entitled or deserving of a second chance, perhaps even a third chance or fourth chance. Every day is a new day, and we can always start over whenever we choose. Another self-constructed condition, again, could be religion. Perhaps we separate ourselves from others, or we sequester ourselves from others because of that. Because we feel that our religion may be superior to someone else's. The It doesn't give us the opportunity to learn from someone else, to share in those shared conditions of being a human, of experiencing joy, of experiencing suffering. So those are some of the societal conditions that we experience. Those are some of these self-constructed conditions that we perpetuate perhaps on ourselves, and they're limiting. So we have to learn how to remove those conditions. And one of the first ways that we can begin to understand how to remove those conditions is by understanding that none of those conditions are you. Sure, here you may be a teacher, you may be tall, you may be short, but that is not what your essence is. Think about to the past lives, to the first lives, or to the future lives, not the first lives, the future lives that await you. You're not going to have this same body. You're not going to be born in the same location. You, if it's unfortunate enough, may not even be born a human again until your karma, which we've talked about on previous Dharma talks, until your karma determines otherwise, right? Your future lives. So we have to change our thoughts. Change our thoughts, because you are not what you think. Remember, thoughts are transient. They're not permanent. They come, they stay for a little bit, they go. So we can't always be our thoughts. Same with our emotions, right? Knowing that our emotions change as well. They are transitory as well. You are not what you feel. You can't always be happy. You can't always be sad. Can't always be joyful. Can't always be hungry. Can't always be upset. Those are physical responses to conditions on the outside that we allow ourselves to experience. So understanding that we are not what we think, we are not the emotions entirely. They're parts of us to some degree, but that's not who we are. And remembering that, the body that you see every morning when you look in the mirror, that is not you. Of course, it's your physical body right here, right now. Absolutely. Right? Maybe you need a shave, maybe you need a haircut, right? Taking care of ourselves in that fashion. But if we've had many lives, and we'll have many lives in the future, we are not what we see here. And understanding that helps us to remove those conditions so we can walk a path towards liberation and well-being, towards all. So understanding that all of those conditions and experiences that we have felt and will feel, right? They're all transitory. So in essence, to some degree, they're not real. They feel like it. We may think that they are, but you can't hold a thought. You can't hold an emotion. Something to think about as you explore yourself with mindful awareness, recognizing that You can only be in this present moment. The next moment is unwritten. The previous moment is past. You can't go to the back, can't go to yesterday, to an hour ago, to 10 seconds ago. The future is unwritten. So understanding that when we remove those conditions, we can experience that moment in a more wholesome manner, understanding how precious it is. So something to think about until our next talk, which is on May 13th. So in 2 weeks. For our Instagram live followers, maybe joining us for the first time, we broadcast every 2 weeks, bi-weekly. So May 13th, we'll be talking about the 4 sublime states of mind. Kind of ties into a little bit on these conditions as well. And then we will end with our 3 jewels to the Buddha. We start off that way. We end with the 3 jewels as well. I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. I take refuge in the Sangha. Sathu, Sathu, Sathu. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you for coming. Many blessings to you all. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, anything that you'd like to talk about. We are here to help support you in your mindfulness practice so that you too may experience the liberation and the wholesomeness that's out there in mindfulness and Buddhism. Many blessings to you all. Take care, my friends.